I need you to use your imagination for the next couple of minutes. I need you to get in your mind a picture of the ancient city of Jerusalem, absolutely filled with people. For in addition to the normal population, families had come from all around Israel for the week-long celebration that was known as the Festival of the Tabernacles. Now this festival was a reenactment of the 40-year period of wandering in the desert, when the nation of Israel would live in portable shelters or booths, or tabernacles as they were called. So for this week-long celebration, families would just camp around Jerusalem and live in these makeshift shelters. Jerusalem normally had a population of around 70,000, but for the celebration of this festival, its population would swell to roughly 2.5 million people. Now John details how the next I am saying of Jesus takes place at dawn, the morning after the last and greatest day of this festival. But in order to more fully understand what Jesus said, we need to understand what happened the evening before, just to set the stage. An elaborate ceremony would take place in the court of the temple, and the ceremony was actually called the illumination of the temple. Now the temple court itself was surrounded by deep galleries, so that the townspeople and pilgrims alike could observe all that was happening in that center court. Now in the very center of that court, 4 huge candelabra were erected. When darkness fell on that last and greatest day of the feast, these 4 giant candelabra would be lit. Now the first century Jewish historian Josephus said that when those 4 candelabra were lit, the city itself would be ablaze with light. But just in order to make sure that they were, small candles would be placed inside of small containers, kind of like a modern day luminary, and they would be used to line every street and every path in the city of Jerusalem. Jerusalem was literally a city ablaze with light on the last and greatest night of the feast. And then all night long, teachers would take turns standing in front of these candelabra to both recite the scriptures and then to teach about that scriptural passage. All around the temple court, people would sing and dance and worship the Lord throughout the night. That would continue until the dawn would break. All night long, the wisest teachers in Israel would take turns standing in front of the candelabra and reciting portions of the scriptures and then teaching on them. All around, people would sing and dance and worship the Lord throughout the entire night until the dawn would break. Now this last and greatest day of the festival was the time when the blazing lights of the temple illuminated the entire city, and it pierced the darkness. But as dawn broke that next morning, when the ceremony of the illumination of the temple was over, Jesus rose, prepared to take his turn. Against the backdrop of this elaborate ceremony, Jesus paused and said to the crowd, "I am the light of the world. Whoever follows me will never walk in darkness, but they will have the light of life." Now those were stark words when they were first spoken. They are stark words now. So please turn with me to John chapter 8, and we'll begin the study of this second great I am statement. I am the light of the world.